Mike, where would you say you're at right now with your inside linebacker group in terms of how many guys you feel comfortable playing? What's realistic given the rotation?
I honestly think that we have 5 guys right now that can play on Saturdays, right? So which gives us the ability to package some things, get people out in specific situations, which will force us as coaches to get them on the field. Jake Chaney is the leader. You absolutely love what he's doing and the impact he has, but we need to force feed packages because he can't be on the field 70 snaps for 12, 13, 14, 15 games in the year. But we have a number of dudes that can play on Saturdays.
I know at the start of camp you were you were excited about the idea of having more contact this year. I guess I'm wondering at this point where maybe have you seen the benefits of that? How do you think it's helping?
It opens our guys' eyes up very quickly in terms of things that they have to continue to hunt and work at, right? If the first time you have an opportunity to live tackle is game day, and we've never been like that, but some people are. You don't realize, oh, I'm not quite where I need to be until game day. That's too late, right? So when we have the opportunity, we have some big tailbacks that are running hard right now. So it is an eye-opener to everybody on defense to what it takes when it's real and what we need to work on.
Is that the same with Dylan Jones, where it seems like defenders are going and tackling Dylan Jones more than other running backs?
I mean, Dylan Jones, yeah. I mean, Tywee, that dude's a load. If our defensive backs can't go low on that man, it's like it's not fair. But I'll tell you what, you see no fear out of our guys either. And so we're playing closer to real football than I think most people across the country are.
Coach, even back, in the spring and now, especially in the fall, you've seen the pressure to the quarterback kind of increase. How does that maybe change the way that you can call plays and set up these blitz packages to throw different looks out there?
So I'm excited about the fact that we can get some pressure with just 4-man, because then all of a sudden when you bring extra people, that's not where the offensive line, the quarterback, maybe the coordinator's attention is. But the other thing, besides having some real athletes on edges and upgrading talent and knowledge of the defense across the board, I really think we have some great communicators and problem solvers on the field. Jake Chaney and Hunter Wolder, I really believe are special in terms of being communicators and problem solvers, which allows you to open up the playbook a little bit more.
Coach, you've been around. You've been around the game for a little bit. Obviously, you know that it's kind of the same process, but still, being here second year now, as you guys get more familiar, how is the second fall camp going for you?
Second fall camp is going very well. Camp 1, you're trying to get to know your guys, and it's not until the live bullets start flying that you realize, okay, we didn't know everything we need to know. And I know Coach Fickle's been talking about that. But in addition to knowing your guys better, I'm really impressed with how many of our players really truly understand the defense now. That's exciting to see. And we are emphasizing we need a whole bunch of 1Bs, because 2s are the guys that are backups that don't get on the field on Saturdays. 1Bs are the guys who you are absolutely setting a rotation for, and you see more of those now than you did at this time last year.
Mike, you've got a lot of guys in different positions, different alignments with your inside linebacker room. How important is it that you're the guy that's coaching that group in terms of being able to just kind of draw stuff up with them in the meeting room and then bring it out to the practice field?
It's comparable to the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach. Different staffs can handle it different ways, but I do feel like when you eliminate the middleman as much as possible, that's a really big thing. One of our philosophies is front multiplicity, right? And so if we truly understand leverage and how to disengage off of blocks, we can get to a bunch of front multiplicity, which can manipulate protections and blocking schemes, but you have to be pretty precise about where you're lining and how you're showing and how you're bluffing. So it's nice to work firsthand with those guys.
Mike, I have a big picture question for you. You were obviously a part of a program at Cincinnati that was able to break through in the 14 playoff. You know how hard that is. How much do you think the 12-team playoff opens the door for a program like Wisconsin that has been kind of on the cusp for years?
Yeah, I don't know if you look back and how many times would we have been in the playoffs if it was 12 teams. I don't know the answer to that. I'm worried about this year, obviously, but shoot, there's 3 times as many teams that are making the playoffs, right? I think being in the Big Ten Conference, too, there's going to be a guaranteed number of teams in the Big Ten Conference that are in the playoffs. So the opportunities are certainly there. And the nice thing is, in the past, you lose one, you feel like all shots are done. So the importance of your season the meaningfulness of your season is always there for us, but for the outside world, it remains longer too.
Mike, with someone like Jaheim, now that you've had a spring and a decent amount of preseason camp, and I know that you had experience with the Mets Cincinnati, but just with this group of players and what you're trying to do with this defense, just what can he do for this defense that maybe this defense couldn't do last year?
He does have more familiarity with myself and Coach Fickle, be quite honest, than even the guys that have been here for 2 years. So he's been through more game plan adjustments, more in-week preparations than anybody else on our team, other than a couple other guys that came from Cincinnati. So that's pretty neat. But I also think he's a kid that has really grown up and has made himself a really mature guy who's, he's in the training room even if he's not hurt, right? He's studying film even though when it's not mandated, and that rubs off on younger guys too. And he didn't do that when he was younger, so it's exciting to see that.
Like every team has mottos every year. Fix we're in the hunt or be hunted. What does that mean to you as a coach? What kind of has that message resonated with you?
Yeah, that means you're on the attack all the time, right? There's never anything that you can be satisfied with. It is a constant hunt. It's a constant hunt. And as hard as we go in fall camp here, it really helps us as coaches and the players identify what we need to hunt. So there's never a relaxation when you're on a football field type of mentality.
Where do you think Tackle Curtis is in terms of getting to that 1B status, or what have you seen from here in training camp?
So probably after practice number 5 or 6, he took a huge jump. What people don't really think about is, he did not go through spring ball. So this was really his first time. He did walkthroughs, he did run-throughs, but he wasn't playing full speed, full contact. So this is his first time doing that. I think he's really, you can see his confidence really growing fast at this point, which is really exciting. And he's a guy that without a doubt, you feel like he can be out there on the football field. Now, his how many different packages he can be in will continue to grow, but right off the bat, you're going to feel like, hey, there's packages that he could be an impact.
Similar question on Tyler Janzi. Where do you see him at right now?
Tyler Janzi was well, first of all, Tyler goes as hard as anybody we have on our team. I mean, he goes hard all the time, which is fantastic. But that made him a little bit out of control at times. It did. He knows that. He's really reined that in. It hasn't slowed him down, but his mind has slowed down, which is really exciting, which puts him in that group of guys at linebacker that you feel like, okay, he can get out there on the field Saturdays. Now, it's a battle because now we start talking about those guys. Maybe there's 5 guys, 6 guys who feel like can get out on the field. That might not be real that they all do, but he's right there in the battle. It's great to have competition in a meeting room.
With John and Leon, or maybe Leon in particular, just how have you seen them now with this preseason camp continue to grow within this scheme and just how they can affect the quarterback and in the backfield in general?
I think they have, and we have as coaches, identify what their strengths are. So, you have, some new tools on the edges, which you're very, very excited about. But I think Coach Mitchell's done a great job with them, helping them really rein in and focus in on what are their strengths and how are they going to attack. Because they're different types of kids. The fact that they're different types of kids is really a huge advantage for us as well.
Sebastian, going from your room to the outside linebackers, it's obviously having a pretty good impact here on the practice field. Did you anticipate that right away for him, for that position to click? Or?
So he started out at the will because the will does rotate to the edge a fair amount. We knew he had great athleticism getting off the ball and some twitch and some ability to lean edges. But no, did I think he was going to be an outside backer right off the bat? No. I thought he was an inside backer. He's still, who knows what it's going to be in the long run, but he's certainly right now can focus in on one spot where he can be an impact. A little less going on because most everything that happens on this side of you as opposed to both sides of you, which makes it a little easier to pick up as a new guy in a new defense.
Coach, you guys have a lot of players that are versatile that can play a lot of different roles. For some of the younger guys, is it important to kind of hone in on one position early on, or what's kind of your takeaway of that?
Yes, it absolutely is. It is for their ability to have details at one spot, but also just for confidence, right? You just start thinking on the football field if you're bouncing back and forth positions. So, That's why for a guy like Tackett, we may have said, hey, we're going to start out, we're going to be focusing in on our primary nickel package right now. And once we know that is 100 miles per hour and there's no thinking, boom, we add more. You could go across the board. Big picture though, with scholarship and roster limits, there are some guys that have to be able to be utility players for you. It's needed.
Xavier Lucas has been somebody that's been getting a lot of praise from coaches and players alike. Like, what have you seen from him as you be able to review what he's doing?
You know, I really like, A, he's long, B, he's fast, but I really like the fact that he's very consistent. He's consistent, I'm talking about in terms of his personality, right? He's getting more consistent as a football player, but his personality. He is a happy kid. There's not many ups and downs, right? If something hits on him, he's competitive, he doesn't like it, but he's going to stay who he is. He's going to maintain confidence. So at corner, I think that's besides all the physical skills, that's a critical thing. And as he continues to be out there and show he knows what he's doing and can be consistent, the older guys start believing in him too.
Coach seemed like just a small tactical errors, and I mean that kind of happens as you reach like kind of the midway point of camp. You know, how do you make sure that the guys stay motivated? You and Fickle bringing that energy, stuff like that. How do you keep these guys motivated as you reach this point in camp?
So, first of all, you better have a whole bag of tricks at this point in camp. There's no doubt about it. But Coach Fick does a fantastic job, and we have leaders on this team that hold a high standard. So that really helps us a bunch as coaches. Specifically, though, with our vets, just continuing to add small tweaks. Like today we had a couple pressures that were the same pressures we've had, but we changed our alignment and looked to try to manipulate the protections. Well, that keeps those older guys engaged, right? The younger guys, you've limited what their play call package is, but add a thing, and hopefully it's something that they can get excited about. Those are things that, besides having the leadership that enforces our standard, those are things that just keep people engaged.
Ernest Willard is another guy who, switched positions. What have you seen from him at this point?
He moves really well for his size and his age. It's really exciting to see. You don't know when he's in Coach Collins' strength program for a couple years how big he's going to end up or what spot he's going to be. But right now for our team and for the impact he can have at this stage, I think it's been a great move for him. He's a smart kid. He picks stuff up really well. I'm excited to see what his development looks like. It's pretty exciting.
So it's another freshman, Dylan Johnson. I saw him with the twos. I know his strength's been there. I know he's a former state champion wrestler. What is it going to take for him to crack the rotation? Is he close, or is it still a lot of growing to go do?
No, he is close, but I'm seeing improvement out of the older guys. So that's one of those things where people notice Dylan Johnson and what he does on the field, and that pushes the older guys. But I will give those defensive linemen credit. They are pushing themselves, which is really exciting to see. If it would have been last year, it might have been saying, hey, but we're going to need Dylan in there right now. This year, the bar is being pushed by their unit, which is great to see. We good? All right, appreciate you guys.